The premier story of the week coming out of Florida, where a federal judge, actually not a federal judge, a magistrate judge, surprised some in agreeing to reveal part of the affidavit, considering to reveal it. We're still waiting, related to the FBI's questionable raid on Mar-A-Lago. And for more on this, we're going to welcome in founder of legalinsurrection.com and professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell Law School, William Jacobson. Thank you and good morning. William, in your recent post to legalinsurrection.com, you include excerpts from several major media outlets. What is your take on how the raid is being covered?
Well, I think you see a typical political divide in the media. On the left, or the mainstream corporate media, it's almost celebration that they finally have Trump. Remember, for so many years we heard, the walls are closing in, they're finally going to get him. So there's really cheerleading for the government from the mainstream corporate media and the left-wing media, whereas the right-wing media is extremely skeptical of this. I mean, we've seen this movie before. We saw it with Russia collusion, where every day it seemed it was a new bombshell leaked to the press by the government. And you give it 24, 48 hours and it wouldn't pan out. So I think the media coverage reflects the politics involved.
And William, of course, as we know, that Florida magistrate judge has ordered the submission of proposed redactions within the week. A lot of people are anticipating that will be a lot of black lines going throughout the entire document, leaving a few words like the and. Will anything potentially even be left of this affidavit if it does make it to public, if it is available to the public?
Well, I think a lot of that will depend on what the magistrate does, because I have no doubt the government is going to extremely heavily redact it, almost in its entirety. They don't want even a single word released. They don't want anything to the public to know anything about it. So I think the government will submit to the magistrate in secret. We'll never get to see what they submit. Extremely heavily redacted document, and the magistrate will then potentially hold a hearing with the government, again, in secret. We're not going to get to watch this over it. And I also have no doubt if the magistrate releases anything of substance, they're going to take it up to a court of appeals and try to get it reversed. So the government does not want anybody to know anything that led up to this, which of course is the opposite of what we should know. We should know a lot more when a former president, almost certain candidate, and likely nominee for 2024 is the subject of this.
And they gave an August 25th deadline for those redactions, but the key word I think you're saying right now, secret. And you also mentioned former President Trump. He's pushing for the release of the unedited affidavit. How do you think revealing the original version would go?
Well, it may be favorable to him. It may not be favorable to him, and let the public view that. But I think, as with anybody who's the target of the government, you want the information out there. You want to know what you're potentially being accused of. I mean, as of this moment, he would not really know. All we have are selective leaks to the press. So we hear these fantastical claims about he had nuclear secrets, he had the names of spies, all this other stuff. And we don't know if any of that's actually true. All we know is that this is Russia collusion again, leaks from the government, selective leaks from the government to favorable media outlets.
Yeah, and William, as you mentioned, whatever is in that affidavit could be unfavorable for the former president. But what I'm not hearing much of is, especially from left media outlets, is that, listen, if he wants this thing released in its unedited version, maybe he really isn't hiding anything. I mean, that just to say, put it all out there, that's a potentially big risk for him that he's obviously willing to take.
Well, if you understand their motivations, it makes sense that they would side with the government. They want Donald Trump prosecuted. They have wanted him prosecuted since the day he rode down that escalator at Trump Tower. Prosecutor in New York, the Attorney General, ran her campaign for Attorney General, announcing she was going to get Trump. So they want him convicted, and they want him at least charged. And if the government, keeping things secret for a few more months, gets them there, they are happy to do that, even though you would think it would be the opposite of what media would want. Media always wants more information, not less information.
Going off of what Katrina just said, if he wants it released, it seems like maybe he doesn't have something to hide. So maybe the other side
can't find any issue here, what do you think would happen next if they're not able to prosecute him or find an issue?
Well, I think it will backfire again. I mean, this is, again, Russia collusion. They always think they have him. And if there's nothing damaging there, or if it shows cooperation, Trump's attorneys have said that they were cooperating, they were meeting, they were speaking, and this came out of nowhere. What we all really want to see is, what was the emergency? There have been leaks to the press, I think it was to the New York Times or somebody else, that Merrick Garland took 3 weeks to make the decision on this. Well, that's inconsistent with the claims that he had such sensitive information they couldn't wait any longer and they had to raid Mar-A-Lago. So I think the public is entitled to know if there is a there. And if there is, Trump will have to deal with it. But if there's not, it's going to help him enormously politically.